center of your life. It is everything you hear, everything you see, everything you feel. It is everything you are. How would you know if someone stole your mind?
As more and more manifests in what we know as the real world, more and more people are willing to at least consider not only the paranormal, but also the fascism that's taken over Western civilization in general.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. We are going to be chatting with Mrs. Tessa Dick a little bit later. Ex-wife, Mrs. of the one and only Philip K. Dick. We got friend of the show and handler, James Nation, back in studio.
Hey, hey.
And, of course, we got everybody's favorite person, everybody's favorite host.
Is this like Grimerica Nation?
Graham Spermia.
Spermia done.
How's it going, buddy?
Good. It's not what it sounds like.
Not yet.
Maybe you should explain what Graham Spermia is, Darren.
It's cutting off a chunk of Graham's calf and sending it off into space. On the hopes that it'll land on some fertile planet someday and breed a race of Grahams.
Micrograms.
That's a good one.
So how are you going to send him into space?
Well, eventually, we got to get there. I don't know how we're going to send him into space.
Well, with the balloon.
No, the balloon's not going to get him off planet. So.
Oh, we got to pull a little rocket on the balloon that shoots Graham off after that. It's kind of like a launch pad, like an elevator.
You think it'll break orbit?
Well, we got to get a good rocket.
No, this balloon's not going to take all this weight. And then the thrust.
What about just a little mini rocket? If it's just a sample of a calf, then it just can be a little mini rocket.
The problem is you need a pretty big rocket, I think, just to fucking break orbit.
Well, we need somebody to...
Even with no payload?
Yeah, but we're already up,
yeah, I think so.
We're already up at like 100,000.
We're up a kilometer.
That's it?
Yeah.
So
like 1,124 or something like that. Last time I checked.
That's as high as it'll go?
Where we start off?
That's where we start off. Yeah, we're starting a kilometer up.
Oh. How do we get up higher?
You got to build a pretty fucking substantial rocket to fucking get bigger than I don't think we can just go buy it. You would have to build something, which I don't think would be that hard. I think you can build a rocket easy enough. The problem with a rocket is fucking things can go fucking haywire pretty quick, and then all your shit is gone.
Just ask SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're just a bunch of fucking doofus podcasters trying hey, let's fucking rocket
smoking weed and playing with rockets.
$1,500 worth of cameras into orbit, and woof. Or it fucking falls on its side and goes like 6 kilometers west, or who knows.
Somebody gets killed by a falling GoPro.
And I couldn't believe how cheap the balloons were, to be honest.
So just for people that don't know, we're talking about... I don't even want to talk about it, actually. We should just stop talking about it.
We've escalated very quickly.
Graham is an all-in rounder
so here's
debunker.
The thing. To you guys, it's been 3 shows, but for us, it's only been like 45 minutes. But now we've been able to find a whole kit that comes with the 1,500 gram or whatever.
That's a lot of grams.
Weather balloon?
Weather balloons. That's how much helium it's going to take. Yeah, that is a lot of grams.
It's like a truckload of helium.
Could you imagine?
Are we going to launch 1,500 grams into space?
They could just
Graham Spermia.
They could just jump.
Go, Grams! You're free. You're free, Grams. We're going to prove the Earth is flat.
And you want to put a GoPro on the fucking balloon and get it up there. See, it's not going to go high enough. We looked at a video online of 33 kilometers, and it's 40K. not enough of a...
I think it was
You can still say it's flat in that one.
he was fucking playing with the fucking... He's fudging
the fisheye?
We're going to play.
No, it's not the fisheye. It's the fucking... He's leaving it fuzzy, which allows for a bunch of fucking obfuscation and everything.
Leaving what fuzzy?
He's not tightening the image up.
It wasn't high definition enough.
So, are you serious?
Well, we'll see. Who cares? We're going to fucking take your car. Plus, he was only at 33 kilometers.
I know, but now you want to go 40 only. You're only going to be able to get 40.
Well, that's the biggest balloon I can find is 40.
Okay, guys, listen. Here's what you do. Let's start a GoFundMe account.
Wait. Let me see. Okay, you guys
talk. That's a lot of work.
Let me see if I can find a 2,000 gram balloon. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, get a GoFundMe account going, and then we can raise some money, and we'll shoot this balloon into space with some of Graham's calves, and we'll prove the Earth is flat.
Well, the way I picture it,
round.
Did you do that on purpose?
It comes with a little tripod thing, so we'll set up a bunch of cameras on it. James has some cameras. We got a couple cameras.
Yeah.
We'll put them all up there. We'll have the fucking thing covered in Grimerica stickers.
And a Moai.
Goes to space. We'll send a Moai up. I'm going to send a joint up. We'll think of some other stuff.
We're going to skin Graham's calves when he's not looking.
I think it's good for like fucking 20 pounds or something, so we could throw some shit on this thing. And we'll have them all going. It comes with the GPS. It comes with everything. It's like, I think the helium's a little bit. The helium's probably going to be like
$1,000
over $1,000. So it's going to be a few $1,000, but I think we can fucking, I bet you fucking, it's going to take like fucking 3 weeks.
You can't get the horizon to be shown as round until you get out into space.
You are a fucking negative Nancy today.
We'll also play the Grimerica.
You know why? Because we're falling into the fake conspiracy. There's a bunch of fucking shills out there since 2008. The government's putting these fucking shills in there to populate all this crap on these websites about the flat Earth. It's not even a fucking real.
You think that flat Earth guys are all just shills?
No, but it's been fucking injected and propagated, and it's and then people are falling for it. And then we're fucking falling for it because we're talking about it again.
They gotta be, because how can you actually think the Earth is flat? Like, really?
No, you're going to piss off a bunch of flat earthers.
No, I'd like to know.
Stop, James. Come on, you gotta be, there's people.
This is a delicate fucking situation.
That aren't flat earthers, but they're shape agnostic.
And we're just...
So I'm telling you.
Okay, well, that's what I'd like to know.
So this is what I'm saying, is that fucking there's enough fucking people that I think they trust us, so that if we fucking put a thing up there and make a video, they're not going to think that we're shilling in either direction. So we'll put a bunch of cameras on it. We can explain very well how fisheye works. It works in both directions, center of frame. We can put a camera sideways, so we can get around that. And I think that our listeners will trust us at least. I can see curvature in the fucking 33 kilometers, so I think we'll see some curvature. And we'll send them some shit into space, and it'll be cool as fuck.
This is what the world's coming to.
And we'll YouTube the whole event. They're going out, filling it up, when the truck shows up to fill this thing up.
Oh, jeez.
We have to be sensitive to the flat earthers nowadays.
I know. Well, right? We do, because it's not their fault that they've fallen in the trap.
They've fallen in a trap.
The disinformation trap.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the essays. It's going to be one of the essays I want to fucking do on the Black Budget, is about conspiracy theories. It was written by government employees in 2008.
I think we fucking will see fucking thing. And if we don't, the next thing we'll do a fucking rocket. And like James said, we'll put our own cube satellite in orbit eventually that just does nothing but play the Grimerica show all day.
Yeah. And you could just track any satellite.
And then if nothing else, at least we can say with authority.
So how does tracking a satellite around the Earth prove it's round?
Well, there's some satellites that you can actually communicate with or ping.
Yeah.
And so you basically say, okay,
watch it go around,
here it comes. It's coming from the east, right? You'll see it coming, or from the west, I mean. You'll see it coming, you'll ping it, and then you can get your, the UK posse, because it's coming. Right, yeah. And it should come out of the west as well if the Earth is round, right? Because it's not going in a circle.
Well, it could just come straight across
the flat Earth. Because if it was
the
flat earthers say that things go in a circle, right? So that means it would be coming from the west at some points, and then it would be coming from the east at some points, right? If you're doing a circle on this flat table, right? So for some people, it's coming from the west. From others, it's coming from the east, right? So if the Earth's round, that same satellite is always going to come from the west. So you get us on board, then the UK posse does a ping.
So not only
what if it's going around the flat Earth that way?
Well, how would it orbit a flat object?
I don't know.
Well, I guess it could mean.
It could only orbit the flat object the other way.
No, we need a physicist. We need a physicist here to tell us if it would have enough gravity to orbit properly. If that's
why that's just one of them. That's just an extra thing. Plus, we got the balloon thing that's going to show curvature. And what was the other thing? The other thing was... Can
I jump from one of these balloons?
Eventually.
Okay.
We'll get there.
I'm in. I'm totally in.
If we could get there, we'll try. I don't know.
That could be your second skydive.
No. That's not fucking happening. I could just picture myself drifting out to space. So I had a third.
Well, the other thing,
is Jerry and
Grim
are going to take some pictures across Lake Michigan and Chicago with a high-def camera. So I think that's going to show us some refraction things, and even if it hides a little bit of Chicago, we'll have a couple different things to add up.
Does Grim think the Earth is flat?
No, I don't think so. I don't think either of them do.
They're shape agnostic. They're just they know we're being fucked with in multiple levels, and they're just open-minded about it. Yeah.
Is this actually a real term, or are you guys making shape up agnostic up?
Well, you just shape agnostic. You don't want shape to.
This is a new thing. You've just coined a new term.
No, they've been talking about it for a while.
No, it's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing.
We didn't coin nothing.
You can't credit that one.
Fear-mongering, maybe.
So if nothing
Spear-mongering. Spear-mongering.
I don't know if I made that one up. I might have been second.
So I'll tell you what. After we do this, then we'll have a flat Earth around.
If you want to fucking get involved in this whole thing,
I'm upset about it.
It's more. It's funny for me.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah, I think it'll be great.
No offense, flat
He'll
Earthers.
get excited as we start going. Maybe it'll be flat, and we'll be like, "Holy fuck!"
Hey,
what have we done?
When we send the balloon up, we'll capture some chemtrails too.
We need. Next thing you know, we'll just be making our
camera
own
will be stuck on the top of the dome.
It hits the roof.
Just be hitting the roof.
Yeah, it hits the roof. Tink, 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 tink.
So it stopped moving. It's dragging.
Tink, tink, tink.
That'd be something. Yeah, we'll do it. And then we can say that at least in Grimerica we know for a fact, one way or the other.
So if anybody has any experience with launching these balloons, they should probably spam Graham, hey?
Yes.
No, you can. This is Darren's project. Okay. I'm not getting involved.
Darren at Grimerica.com. What are you going to call it? Grimerica Goes to Space?
You can email me at graham@grimerica.com. Yeah, it'll be Grimerica Goes to Space, yeah.
Okay. Space.
It'll be completely separate from our regular thing. I'll set something up. I'll set up a link. It'll be grimerica.ca/ what's a good one?
We could be GASA. Grimerica Aeronautical Space Administration.
Oh, there we go. It'll be
GASA.
Grimerica.ca/GASA. And that'll take you to the link, whatever link I set up to do. I'll set this up as a little side project.
Graham will say GASA.
And then we can maybe get some support from outside the community as well. And then we'll fucking launch a couple balloons up, see what happens. James is kind enough to help us out with the thing and let us use his cameras.
And the acronym can also stand for Gear Acquisition Syndrome.
What's the extra A?
Anonymous. Associated.
That's the program that you have to get
Association.
Get off
Association.
Well, it's kind of like having gear. I think we'll have a cool space gear.
Yeah.
What else can we send to space?
I don't know.
Just more weed.
Listeners can give us ideas. Yeah,
mushrooms. We could send the mushrooms. Some mushrooms. Space
mushrooms.
A picture.
Well, how are you going to get it from? Now how are you going to get? You're going to do? It's going to separate off the balloon and a little mini rocket and go through the atmosphere, or is this the?
No. That's not happening.
We got to figure that out. No, we should do gram spermia.
No, we're not there yet. Maybe if the show ever gets huge and we have enough, fucking around money to fucking hijack rockets, like Jesus Christ. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars.
What is
might
it
actually be illegal too. We have to find out if we can shoot rockets into space.
Yeah, it could be.
Crashing into satellites.
Just to break orbit? I don't know. You got to hit like fucking 13,000 miles an hour. So you're not doing that with anything small. Have you seen what they use to launch things into orbit?
Right, but that's from the surface of the Earth.
That's what a payload. You're just talking about mushrooms and weed.
But
if we're spending things actually into space, we're sending your calves.
Yeah, definitely tissue culture, so we can send little micrograms off into a microgram. It would make
sense to send a bunch of mushrooms, though, because they could survive, or maybe like.
And then you end up populating the galaxy.
Your planet can be called Grimerica.
Yep.
Right. There you go.
I'll throw some pubes in. Yeah, side
Graham
project.
seems like he'd be a shaver, actually.
Gasa.
Yeah, he's nodding his head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like a fucking.
He's like a dolphin. He's like a dolphin. You guys should see Darren's face.
Oh. Okay. What do you got?
I got
we need a jingle.
Since you're
Sorry.
James is a UFO fan as well. I got
listeners.
I got some listener emails here
of UFOs.
Yeah, the guitar one.
I don't have a guitar UFO.
The acoustic UFO.
Oh. No, that's the UFO quote jingle.
This is different.
No, this is emails, listener sightings and stuff.
Okay. Oh, do we have a jingle for that?
Yeah, it's that one, with the people go in the house and talking about the UFO sighting and all that.
Oh, yeah. We just seen our first UFO.
We kept saying, what is that? What is that? And it wasn't until after the events happened and it disappeared to the south in the darkness that we went inside. We stayed outside for a couple seconds, then we went inside. And she sat on the couch, and I went to the bar, and I sit on a stool, and I took my glasses off, and we stared at each other for 5, 10, 15 minutes, who knows. And I got up, and I wanted to go back outside, and as I grabbed the door, I looked my wife right in the eye, and I said, we just saw our first UFO. And she looked at me back, and she goes, I know, 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 I know.
So this is from Tom. He says, been meaning to send something enlightening to you for a while. I really enjoy the trip reports and hearing strange reports from listeners. So I've been racking my brains to think of something from my misspent youth to share with you. Either I burned out all my memories, or hitting recreational drugs every weekend simply hasn't or wasn't as profound or crazy as I thought. So no interesting trip reports, I'm afraid, at least just yet. I did have one or two very real UFO sightings in my youth, though. They were so explicit, they were etched on my memory. Although at the time, they were far from earth-shattering to me. I was young, I guess, and I took these things for what they seemed. Not sure how to explain. Now I look back, the second one was pretty odd. So on holiday in northern Italy with my family, aged about 13, we did this most years. We drive down through Europe from southern England and camped all over the place. That sounds awesome. On the motorway in Italy midday.
How much camping can you do in England?
No, on the way down to Italy through Europe.
Okay.
So you'd probably go down through Germany and
I feel like you'd run
France
out of spots pretty quick.
No, there's lots of. So scorching hot day, I see what looks like a black sheet tumbling slowly through the sky. Jet black, like a silhouette. It must have been huge as it was high up and still very big, spread out widthways, long and thin, just tumbling. All the family could see it. Watched it until it was lost from view. Then when we were staying at the campsite in Italy, midday, not a cloud in the sky, I was standing on a mound looking across at the view of a hill and a tree line. Slowly, what looked like a hot air balloon drifted across from behind the trees. It was maybe a mile away and only 50 foot off the ground. As I said, about the size of a large hot air balloon, but it drifted across maybe 100 feet, then stopped. I shouted to my dad, who stood up and watched with me. Although the top was roughly balloon-shaped, the canopy came down to a basket, which was more like a W shape, with no actual basket. And the strangest thing was, again, it was completely black, like a silhouette. We watched it for maybe a minute, then it simply drifted back in the direction where it came from behind the tree line. We both looked at each other and shrugged our shoulders, and we never spoke of it again. It was a prime example of cognitive dissonance looking back. So there you go. Broad daylight oddness. Not typical UFOs, but certainly weird. I'll do my best to hit you up with a donation in the new year. You've kept me sane over the last year, which has been tricky at times. Keep up the good work. That's Tom from Wales, in the UK.
Thanks, Tom.
I saw some great castles in Wales. Anyways, P.S. for Graham.
What kind of Wales?
We live in remote Wales. They do a lot of military stuff around here, so take that into account. We do a lot of wild camping and parties and the like in remote places. I've seen flashes in the sky, but hasn't everyone? I don't think so. Flashes in the sky? See,
you see them.
There were flashes in her head.
But another friend who lives in one of the remote postal codes in Wales with no prompting mentioned spotting flashes of light in the night sky too on several occasions, and not towards the military bases, but away towards open hills. There's a lot in Wales. These are like sheet lightning flashes, but on nights of clear skies and good weather. So yeah, that's not the type that we've been talking about or that I've been seeing, which is like a big flash bulb, like somebody took an old-fashioned camera from way up there that could be like anywhere from 10 to 100 times brighter than the brightest star. Like that's like just a flash bulb.
I wonder if these flashes are actually radiation hitting your eyes, and then you just see those little flashes, because that's what they see when they're in the space station. Because then that would explain why some of you see them and some of you don't. If you're getting like some sort of radiation hitting you guys and you're all in the same spot.
No, but a lot of us, we all see them though.
Always?
Not always, but...
So have you sat right beside somebody looking in the same direction and they haven't seen it and you have?
Yeah, sometimes.
Does that happen more often than not?
No, most of the time, like everybody around that side of the circle will see the flash.
Yeah?
And we jump up and go, oh, look, the flash over there.
I picture it.
Praise Mr. Greer. And they all bow.
No.
They all bow with their robes.
It's
it's not about that.
Do you get robes?
Little bits of cosmic rays slipping through the magnetic field and hitting them right.
So why would you only see them on like special nights and not all the time?
Because the radiation isn't always bombarding you at that exact location.
And you're not staring at it.
What the fuck? Yeah. That's the lamest explanation.
No, man. Think about it. If there's some sort of like radiation coming down, and you guys are all in a concentrated area, which is quite small when you're looking at like the scale of space, right? So you just that little dusting happens to hit you all guys sitting there in that location. You're all going to see like little flashes, but your version of the flash might be different than mine. I might have seen blue. You might have seen red. Or it might have been just a little bit over to the left or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just curious if that is an option.
There's definitely times where we see things and not everybody sees them. And some be like, you and I could be looking at something and one of us is seeing it and the other one's not.
So when you guys all see it, though, do you describe the exact same thing?
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah, when that does happen, it's pretty close.
It's the same color?
Not necessarily color. Usually there's not usually
like
colors,
either it's white, it's white, or if
yeah.
it's blue, it's blue.
Yeah.
Because if it would be red, you'd think it could be like a meteor or something, or a meteorite, I guess.
Why can't blue be a meteor?
Well, I don't really know, but I think a lot of them are usually burning, right?
Green, blue, yeah.
Yeah, they're burning, so usually they're like a reddish white.
Doesn't that depend on if it's going away from you or coming towards you?
Well, are you going like into the Doppler effect?
Yeah.
Or guess what is that, the red shift?
Yeah, is that...
Yeah.
Maybe it's not.
Doppler sound, I think, only,
that's
right?
Doppler's radar.
Sound, yeah.
So anyways, it'd be interesting to see the sheet lightning style flashbulbs.
Well, I want to see a ship. So Graham, we should confess, me and Darren had a conspiracy where I was going to go cover up all the lights on my drone and fly it over you guys one night.
There's multiple conspiracies.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing we're on a fucking signal and we're not in text or anything.
Yeah, Mike, because I could hack your text. I could pick up your phone and look in your signal just as easy as I could pick up your phone and look at your text.
The NSA
I got the location, James. I got the location.
We'll find him. I'll track him.
Michael and I have talked about following you guys out, too, and fucking with you.
It's okay. We just go buy a GPS and stick it on his car, like a little magnet.
Hopefully
we'll use the GPS from the fucking
balloon
flat Earth experiment.
Hopefully when you guys do come out, we'll have the massive sightings and you'll be fucking all in believers after that.
Do we get robes? I need a robe.
We could just bring our own robes.
Yeah, you got a
robe?
Nice robe.
Robe? Yeah,
I want a robe.
Purple robe.
I feel like I'm in a cult that way.
Purple robes.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome.
But we're observing the cult.
Oh. We're not in. We don't get our robes until, is it an initiation?
Maybe we could have, cool uniforms.
What if they actually sacrifice us, Darren? Maybe it's
not.
It's kind of like reminding me of, from dusk till dawn now. All of a sudden. We get thrown over the edge of the pit at the end.
They would have sacrificed Graham by now.
Maybe Graham's the leader. I can see Graham more being like a cult leader.
Graham has a side cult started.
Yeah, I feel like he's more of a cult leader than a cult follower.
Bingo, bango, social media jingle. Don't forget to rate, comment, and or subscribe to the Grimerica newsletter. Bingo, bango, social media jingle. Don't forget to rate, comment, and or subscribe to the Grimerica newsletter.
What do we got? Oh, on Randall Carson video episode, could the giant carbon reservoir be the methane ice under our oceans? Apologies for misspelling. I think it could be. Coop W, bless up, boys. Jay Glad, seem like an honest bunch. Cheers, guys. Ronald Faghali. Great cast, great chemistry, dudes. Ryan bringing it home. It is at the very top of the control umbrella, a class issue. Racist, religious, and nationalist dogmas are excellent mechanisms to divide, conquer, and control.
Yep.
From Monopod BS. I couldn't handle this subscribe torture for any longer. I gave in and subscribed almost for as little as humanly possible, which is the $1.11 plan. Good
That
show.
helps.
Good show, but Graham's got, thanks for the support, Mono. Good show, but Sam's got a bit of an all caps voice at times. Maybe you should tone it down a smidge.
No way.
Nah, I like it. You need him over the top. Here we have the one on the, what was it? The chick that was getting shot with sorry, I shouldn't say chick, Jesus Christ. The woman who was getting shot with the CIA ray guns.
Yep.
What was her name again? Horton. Sorry, Dr. Catherine Horton.
You put me on the spot here.
Dr. Catherine Horton. So we got a comment on that, which is an older episode by by Brian Sam Trooper. Everything she says is true. The intelligence agencies, FBI, CIA, local police, state police, fusion centers, shadow government, and organized crime have corrupted and infiltrated every aspect of society. I am a targeted individual in Attleboro, Massachusetts.
Wow.
My neighbors, in combination with the above agencies, recently poisoned, tortured, and murdered my 2 pet beagles. The targeted individual program is the most evil program the world has ever seen. Hitler would bow his head in shame. People need to wake up before they kill Earth, animals, and humanity.
Wow.
From our buddy Craig Flowers. I like the cross-casting you guys have been doing with all the other hosts and going on other shows lately. Always very entertaining. On our episode number 248 with Dave, with Brian. No, Dave, right? Dave the pastor?
Yep.
Whether true or fiction, this pastor must make a movie out of this experience. And wow, you should have Natoli on for an interview. He sounds brilliant. Good read. Listen twice. Hey, good read. Thanks.
You read it. Did you read it?
I read it. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
After all the fucking reading I do, and you get a good read.
I thought that one might hit close to home. What else do we got? Oh, I wanted to actually go. I'll go to the Twitters for a minute. Quickly.
What is plural for Twitters anyway?
Tweets? Twats?
Tweets? Yeah, tweets.
Twats. Oh, it's,
Tweeters.
Twitters? Twittits?
How about all them likes on Graham's calves pictures?
Oh, we got this one. I re-downloaded Tinder this week, and I linked Grimerica to it. And I can't even tell you how many matches I'm getting and people who are interested in the stuff or listen to an episode. I didn't know you could. So apparently you can.
What?
Yeah, he said apparently you can link your Spotify listen, what your Spotify likes to your Tinder account.
Come on. No, he's shitting us.
Grimerica's getting people
I don't know.
laid.
We're all married, so we need single people to confirm that.
Yeah. You're getting people laid now, guys. Good job.
There's a lot of
that is what
Genesis in the chats of podcasts. How many shows and stuff have started up, and a lot of cool people in the chats.
Yeah, it's crazy how many fucking.
You can catch that link in the show notes, grimerica.ca/chats. And Darren's still reading the Twitters.
Did I listen to this one already from the Cat Daddy? I feel like I might have.
Did you listen to it, or did you read it?
Hey guys, I just noticed. I work as a night shift stalker at Walmart, which feels mindless after a while. The catch is I get to wear headphones. Sound familiar?
Kinda,
yeah, I think. But that's
so
cool.
I have 32 hours of time to listen to lots of stuff. And you guys, okay.
Yeah, you read that one, but thanks.
Thanks. Cat Daddy. Okay, that's all I got. What else you got?
I got a UFO quote.
Synchros?
From the, I got. Oh, okay. I got this. I got this big email.
And we didn't ask for support yet.
I got this.
Trying to trick you off the UFO quote again.
I'm excited about it. It's from the CA.gov website.
Down and Graham, going deep. It's a profound UFO quote of the week. Words to ponder and critique. It's a profound UFO quote of the week.
I think I had a hard time finding this one today.
I think the maker of that jingle is a man overboard.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah.
That's a great jingle. I love that one.
So this is a memorandum for the Director of Central Intelligence, and the subject is the evaluation of UFOs. It was approved for release on October 29, 2002, but this is from January 26, 1965. Number 1, this memorandum, of course, is for your information in response to your request. Number 2, as you know, there has been a recent spate of reports of UFOs, unidentified flying objects, in the news media. Widely publicized UFO reports during the past 18 months include the July 1963 Sunnyvale, California incident in which the UFOs were later identified as an aircraft, the UFOs reportedly associated with the Gemini launch in April 1964, which probably were due to fragments causing radar reflection, and the Petulant, Maryland incident in December 1964 in which 2 objects were apparently tracked by radar, but later analysis attributed the sighting to malfunctioning radar circuitry. Evaluation of these and other reported phenomena reveals no evidence that UFOs are of foreign origin or are a threat to the security of the United States. 3. The Office of Scientific Intelligence, Department of Defense, S&T, monitors reports of UFOs, including the official Air Force investigation reports, and concurs with the Air Force conclusions, which are unclassified and available to scientific investigation. Of some 528 UFO reports investigated during 64, only 3% are classified as unidentified. 11 investigations are still pending, and attached are the official Air Force statistics for the time period between 1954 and 1963 by year, and for 1964 by month. So when you look at 1954 to 63, there was 5,700. It's from the CIA website.
It's a quote from the website. He's quoting them.
It's a cram quote. It's just...
There's 5,700, over 5,700 sightings.
A year?
This is from 1954 to 63. This is just the ones that were reported.
Yeah.
Or investigated, actually.
When tech was in its infancy, so it couldn't have been drones or... maybe.
I mean, there's like 1868 of them, 1,800 they were saying are astronomical, 1,000 of them were aircraft, 500 were balloons. Insufficient data, 1,000.
That's 1.4 a day.
Which, when you look at some of the investigators from the 60s, they say these fucking surveys were ridiculous that went out for the investigators. If there was any part of data, like temperature or anything that was off or the time of day, they would put in insufficient data right away. So that whole category is fucking bogus.
Full of stuff.
Other is 750.
So what's other? The actual UFOs?
Oh, other cases is... is hoaxes, hallucinations, unreliable reports, psychological causes, missiles and rocket reflections, flares and fireworks, migraines and inversions.
How many missile reflections can there be?
In the 60s.
A lot of missiles flying around? I guess there was probably a lot of missiles flying around in the 60s.
Yeah. Flares and fireworks, mirages, inversions, search and ground lights, clouds and contrails, chaff, birds, radar analysis, photo analysis, physical specimens, satellite decay, and other. And then there's an other.
There's another.
Others. Subcategory of the others.
And then in the end, satellites 274, unidentified 180.
So still.
So they're using
UFOs.
the 3. This seems like the old Blue Book stats or something.
Well, unknowns were the ones that were considered actual UFOs, I think, in the Blue Book report.
Right.
So how many were we down to?
Which might be called unidentified here. So it was 180 out of 5,700.
Ah.
But which is probably the 3% or whatever
much
they're
less
saying.
Than 1.4 a day.
Yeah, but it only takes one of those to make the whole thing real.
Exactly.
You know?
Plus, there's a whole bunch of bogus categories in here, other and this insufficient data.
And that's in a time where you wouldn't expect to see a lot of high-tech spacecraft flying around. Like, that isn't making a whole bunch of noise, right? You know, I mean, if we're going to follow...
What are you talking about? Those are the fucking glory days of space travel. We haven't been back to the moon since.
Well, yeah, but, like...
I haven't done nothing.
Our official, equipment made a whole lot of noise. And
I guess not. That was 63.
Yeah,
we weren't even gone to the moon by then.
These guys were seeing objects that were dead silent. And round.
Maybe they were weather balloons with fucking GoPros on them trying to...
They didn't have GoPro back then. That we know
a way bigger balloon back then.
No, but it's a good point, though.
Right?
Yeah.
So what flies is round and is dead silent? The only option would be a balloon, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Could have been.
Yeah.
That's it. What else you got?
Well, I got a long email here we could talk about. It's pretty interesting.
What kind of jingle would I play?
Did you do Ramblin' Graham at least once today?
Is it a synchro?
Yeah, do that one.
I'm a rambling Graham with synchronicities all over the web. And Darren is skeptical about everyone and don't believe it yet.
I feel like it's been a while since I've heard a lot of these jingles.
What a beauty that one is.
Oh, yeah, that was one of our very first jingles. Yeah.
Classic now.
But a Gipmo Yoho.
This is from Bryce. So I've put off contacting the show for months, even though my wife and I have listened to so many episodes. Well, recently I replaced my cell phone and downloaded all my apps and reloaded my podcast. I had to search Grimerica in Podcast Attic, and the Black Budget feed showed up.
Fuck.
This was a while ago, so...
I haven't fixed it.
You haven't fixed it yet?
No. If you're listening to the Black Budget feed and you haven't paid for it, then you're stealing. So sign up for a monthly.
We'll send you a cease and desist.
I gotta track down fucking Podcast Addict.
I thought you already identified that one.
Statistics.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a hole in our plan for the Black Budget feed.
Maybe I should...
That's because we really don't care.
No,
yeah.
I know.
Maybe we should let James handle the Black Budget feed.
No.
I can secure it, but then... you got to sling a few freebies
just don't
here and there.
steal it. Just, come on.
Give him $1.
Okay, let's see what he says here. I tried to resist, but admit to downloading a few just to have a listen and see what I was missing. So I listened to and enjoyed those few and did the only logical thing left. I went back to download just a couple more Black Budget episodes. Well, wouldn't you know it, the feed was removed and I was left now feeling guilty for indulging. See, it did take care of that feed.
Karma. Well, it costs $1 to get the feed.
So, Darren, so I write to you today after months of procrastination, and I also subscribe to the 11 cents a day plan.
There you go.
Thanks.
What's 11 cents a day?
I don't know.
$3.33
yeah, $3.33 probably.
That's what I pay.
Hardly enough for the job you both do in putting together a wonderful program.
The value you provide to the show is priceless.
Thanks, pal.
I found the show while searching for Joel Salatin and Spotify, and I was instantly hooked by the program I was listening to. I quickly downloaded the back catalog of shows and listened for hours on end while working in the garden. The topics are engaging and they keep me interested. Okay, now to give you a little bit more than the pennies I've committed to. I have an odd story involving an old Polaroid photo. While living in rural Washington area north of Portland, Oregon, in the hills around Mount St. Helens, and this story isn't about D.B. Cooper or Bigfoot, but something in my mind a bit more sketchy. Oof. I've attended a small local school, and one day, maybe in 4th or 5th grade, and this is 1966, a friend and a neighbor came to school with this Polaroid of a beheaded wolf-like hybrid creature.
Wolfin?
It was captioned, "The Devil Dog from Hell." And the recess aide quickly wanted to know what we were looking at, and she snatched it up. She was appalled. She was appalled with hell and the devil dog, so she blacked out the caption and reluctantly returned the photo. As my friend's dad was driving down his driveway to work early in the morning, he drove up on this object and couldn't understand what or why. Took out his Polaroid cam and snapped a picture, then kicked the head off the road down the steep embankment that likely led into the nearby lake. Why would he do that? The photo was spread around, and we were all a bit more cautious when traveling around outdoors. Was it a hybrid animal? What tore its head off? And how did it find its way into his driveway with no other sign of body or flesh? All these years later, the only conclusion I can come to is that it was some sort of prank. But after recently seeing the man that discovered the head after 20 years, he admitted to doing nothing of the sorts. There really is no answer, and all we have is this photo. The original is still around, so I intend to capture a newer, less grainy version. Keep up the good work and tell those Canadian border officials they can be a bit less cunty. Oh, and then he's got that crossed out and says rude.
Yeah.
It's a real hassle getting to visit the inside of the immigration office and told about the gun laws and how weed is legal in the States, but not in this country. Traveling south the U.S. are disheveled, sitting on a stool, hardly look up and wave me on. Why the hassle? I'm just trying to visit. And then there's
Leave your guns at home, bro.
And then there's the picture there of the beheaded wolf hybrid creature.
Do you think it had fins?
No.
No sign of fins.
Maybe it was a chupacabra.
It looks like a wild boar.
Really? Wild boar?
Leave your mom out of this.
Because that would probably. It's been a while. Looks like a wild boar face with fangs. Or maybe it's just a wolf that got eaten by the other wolves.
They just turned on him. They're like, fuck it, man. We're hungry.
Or a cougar or whatever, right?
A cougar ate a wolf?
Looks kind of doggy, actually, more than wolfy.
No,
or it
it's
could
got
be a
some
coyote.
pretty crazy fangs.
Yeah, it could be a coyote. Those dog fangs.
Canines?
Yeah, I'm not convinced that it's a wolfen.
Mothman? Would a Mothman have fangs?
Creepy,
Mothman's like a bat.
Ooh, there was that Batman or whatever the fuck, Owl Man in Chicago, right? Yeah. Maybe it's him.
That was a wingsuit jumper.
Oh, no. What? No, there was like fucking 30 sightings or something.
Yeah, those guys were base jumpers and they're wingsuiting off the big buildings, and everybody thought, yeah.
No, that's just a cover
No,
story.
it's seriously. Like, because it was only just like last year that all came up, right?
Oh, just currently.
Yeah, and I replied on that, and I saw the pictures and everything. I'm like, that's a wingsuit jumper, guys. Like it really actually is. I showed them comparisons of the wingsuits and stuff.
But with special Batman-looking wings?
No, there were wingsuiters.
Just normal wingsuits?
Yeah,
usually they're all colorful and stuff.
I'll give you some pictures you can put in the show notes so that people can see this as well. It's a wing.
Graham doesn't know how to put pictures in the show notes.
No, I'll put a link. I'll just send you the link, Graham, and we'll host the pictures, and they can see it. And it's just base jumpers, so they sneak up on the buildings at night and jump off. And then everybody sees these flying things, right? But it's just base jumpers. I'm not kidding.
Case closed.
Case closed, buddy. Sorry, Owl fans of Chicago, but
he hasn't looked at he hasn't looked at a single picture or anything, but case closed.
Maybe the Mothman was a base jumper back in the...
No, that was too old, I think.
Yeah, before it was really a thing.
Yeah, but the current one is base jumper.
The OG
Wake Up
base
number
jumper.
37, really? That was the fucking base jumper? Wake Up number 37? Or was that just in the movie?
What's he talking about?
I don't know. I'm lost.
She didn't go on the bridge and she would have been the 37th person that died.
Mothman Prophecy? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that movie.
I don't remember it either.
It was Stephen Greer.
Maybe Stephen Greer's the Mothman.
Huh.
That would make sense.
It's his brother.
All mothy and weird. Because he is all into that anti-gravity stuff, too.
He's all into all sorts of stuff. What else you got, buddy?
I don't know. That's about it, I guess.
That's it.
No synchros?
I got a couple synchros.
We played the synchro jingle, but he didn't. So support the show while we're waiting for that. Actually, I could do the... no, I'm not going to play. Oh, yeah, here we go.
If they make you laugh, if they make you cry, if they blow your mind, why not go online to Grimerica.ca?
Okay, this is a little one. It's a little bit heavy, but what? Not doing synchro anymore? Is that it?
I'm just playing the support jingle. You're just fucking oblivious. That's okay. I fucking slept through a whole fucking story like a couple episodes ago. Check out Grimerica.ca/support, guys. Sign up for a month if you can. Like, I forget his name, the 11 cents a day. So you can get on for like the 3 cent a day program, or the 4 cent a day program would be the $1.11 a month. Do the 11 cent a day, do the 15 cent a day. If you look at it that way, it's super cheap.
Trying to get over the 1% mark.
You can be a 1%er. We're trying to get to at least 1% support.
I mean, ideally it'd be 5.
If you get 5% support, Graham should get a tattoo of support the show on his calf.
Yeah, no.
Whoa.
Temporary tattoo.
No, like a real one. Support the show.
I'll get a tattoo of Moai on me.
Well, but that's because you probably want one. Anyway.
Let's work on 1%. We've been trying to get to 1% for like 2 years. We're not close. Well, we're like 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah.
Well, you could go get like a whole bunch of sponsors and stuff and make the listeners listen to commercials half the time. That'd be
fuck it. We took a vow of no sponsors and ads.
We took a vow of poverty.
Yeah. So you guys better just kick in $1.
Sign up for a monthly
like $1.
Show.
Yeah. Easy.
Or $2 or $30 a month or whatever. Do a one-time donation if you can. Whatever you can do helps out. There's no pressure. There's no limit. Do what you can when you can. And if you can't do that, then you can at least share the show, review the show, rate the show, tell your friends about the show, sign up for the newsletter,
email
other people up for the newsletter.
Email Grams.
Okay, there we go.
Whoops. I hit 2 buttons at once.
Okay, stop the jingles.
That's awesome.
That's the new, so I've only ever had a couple requests for like ringtones and jingles and things like that. The first one was this one.
Graham is an all-in believer in chemtrails.
Has been requested like 6 times as ringtones. And then the other one's the blah blah blah. And now the new one's the Sea Steady Star. That started being requested.
Sea Steady Star's pretty good. Where's the Wolfens jingle, Graham? You need to have your own trigger over there.
I know. Totally.
We need a new chord for that, and for that, we need you to support the show.
Yeah, you guys should see the Igloo.
We're still sharing a fucking clip cord.
If you guys could see the Igloo, you'd give them $1.
We've got a floating globe.
Yeah.
It stopped.
It was almost spinning the other way, and it stopped and started spinning back.
There's almost an electrical fire in here.
There you go. You fucking wrecked it.
So, and you can email me stories, and we talk about, we get the listeners involved and read stories and sightings and trip reports and jingles and synchronicities and all that kind of stuff. So send them in to Graham at Grimerica.com.
That's right. Help out.
Yep. Anyway. What else was I going to say?
Need more UFO sightings, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
Don't be afraid to send those in to Graham. We like them.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff. You were going to say something. Remember you rudely started talking while I was...
Well, I just had a synchronicity.
What did you get all fired up about? What were you all fired up about earlier?
We already talked about it.
He's fired up about the fucking platter.
On a synchronicity, Graham reads it out
and about getting elbowed in the face at hockey. He's still pissed off about that.
Rate it low,
Okay, this is
that jingle always cheers him up.
This is a little heavy.
Oh boy.
I think.
I don't like heavy ones.
And it's from Ken. I don't know if he's in the chat or not.
Kraken?
I'm not sure.
Ken that fucking made the subreddit, Ken?
I don't know. But, anyways.
He's the Ken, so he's a Kraken.
I'd like to tell you about a synchronicity that happened to me a few years ago. My parents divorced when I was a teenager. My mother and father then split up, one living in Ohio and the other in Texas, for the remainder of their lives. I was living in Colorado at the age of 47 when I received the usual Christmas card from my mother. A pretty generic, but I'm sure well thought out Christmas card manufactured by American Greetings. My father was pretty hit or miss on sending Christmas cards, but that winter I did get a card from him, weeks after Christmas, and sadly days after he passed. I opened it with tears in my eyes to find out it was the exact same card as the one my mother had sent weeks earlier. I immediately took the other card out and looked at the backs of both of the cards to see if they were from a box that somehow got shared by the both of them years ago. But both cards were completely different printings from different distributors. Even the color registers were different. I now have them both framed side by side. My mom died a few years later. Then, sadly, I never got to tell her the story, even though I know they both know.
8.
Nice.
8.
I feel bad, man. His parents died.
That's pretty good. But the one time is
that's something. It's not really a synchro. It's kind of a synchro, I guess.
Yeah, it is. I think
it's a synchro.
Yeah. It is strange. His dad picked the same card the year he died.
No, I know. I'm just jaded.
So I wonder if it was the same. I wonder if it was the same from the fucking fortune cookies.
I'm still hurt.
Did you only get a 6.4?
6.4. He gave me a 9 at the cabin.
We weren't friends either then. We didn't even know each other. I was just in a foul mood.
6.
I don't think I believed him.
I wish we made a note of what episode that whole thing happened in, because that was like one of the...
I went looking for it. I couldn't find it.
One of the best episodes.
It's in the 180s.
The one where he played?
Was it that far along? It was. It was in this studio, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
It's like 2 years ago now.
Darren played a really good... Well, I don't even want to say it. I shouldn't even say it. Because if people go
back and listen to the fortune... can you search by titles? Like fortune key is a search field?
No, you can't even search period on the website.
Not through Libsyn?
You have to use Google now. Were you supposed to talk about that?
No.
Somebody was bitching about it, and
it was
one of our friends.
Well, you can just... If you want to search for something on the website right now, it's best just search Grimerica and then whatever you want to search for.
In Google.
Because, or Bing or whatever the fuck you're using, because I don't have a search thing on there, dongle, widget, whatever the fuck. I'll put something on there down at the bottom or as a menu option or something, but I just don't get around to it. I will do it. It's on the to-do list.
Okay.
The problem is the to-do list doesn't exist.
It's now about fucking hot air balloons and flat Earth.
This is much more important.
Actually, pretty awesome. We're gonna prove flat Earth.
Yeah.
No, round Earth.
Something.
Which one are we proving?
We're gonna prove something. If nothing else, we're gonna prove that we're idiots.
We're gonna send a Moai into space and some weed.
Something's gonna happen,
and it's gonna be legal.
We'll document the whole thing.
Yeah, it'll be legal. We'll be sending legitimate cannabis up.
Be mostly legal.
No, well, just do it after July 1st. We'll do it on July 1st, the day that cannabis is legalized. We'll send some into space.
We're doing this in like a fucking month.
It's going to be too cold.
It'll go up higher faster when it's cold.
I know.
And when it's cold, everything's crisp and you can see everything nice and clear.
I don't want to go walking through like 10 feet of snow to go get the balloon, man.
It's all part of the adventure. We'll all have cameras on, and then you're going to edit all into a masterpiece.
And you're going to make an igloo.
Fine, fuck.
Okay.
Not at the same time, though.
Well, we're going to have some time.
What are we going to do? Yeah, I guess we'll have like 3 hours to go. We might as well make an igloo.
Build an igloo, and we'll make some bannock, and it'll be awesome.
Some what?
Bannock.
What's that?
Fried bread.
Awesome.
Is that Indian bread?
Yeah.
That's right.
Is it called bannock? It's called bannock? I didn't know.
You didn't know what bannock is?
No.
This is what I deal with.
You got to hook him up. He's missing out.
Yeah, bannock is pretty terrific.
Yeah. I won't be appropriating your culture if I eat bannock.
You will, but I think it's okay if you're with me.
Yeah, if you're with Darren, it's fine.
I'll give you
you got to give him an offering of tobacco, though, / cannabis.
Should you be making an igloo if that's an Eskimo thing? That's appropriate.
Well, I said on some podcast a couple weeks ago that
you're going to make
I think
a
it was on
snow
Friends
teepee?
I was bitching about. I look at when other people wear moccasins and shit as a tribute or a compliment to my culture, because fucking it's real close to being eradicated. So, you know, the more people that pick up bits and pieces of it, at least it survives in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it's more important to maybe, I don't know.
So if I came in with a headdress on, it'd be okay?
You have one right here, Graham.
That's out of Lego.
Lego headdress.
I think it depends. Like I say, if it's in jest, then then it's not okay. But if it's...
What if I hide the jest?
Graham at Grimerica.com.
Yeah, that one goes to Graham.
Anything else? Support the show. All right.
Thanks for joining us, James. Good to see you again,
guys.
buddy.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Absolutely. Support the show.
This is a good one with Tessa.
Check out Grimerica.ca/support. Sign up for monthly. Then check out Grimerica.ca/GASA, GASA, and check out what our plans are for this space mission.
And swag.
And buy some swag. Grimerica.ca/swag. And I will send you guys all out some fucking good vibes for the weekend. If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
Sending out good vibes. Good
guidance and protection, and put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track, shivers or vibrations and stuff like that. 108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection, and put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track, shivers or vibrations and stuff like that. 108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection, and put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming.
All right, tonight we've got Tessa Dick on here. Her new book, I've got it in my hands here, is Conversations with Philip K. Dick. Tessa's Philip's ex-wife from quite a while back in the 70s, I believe, and we just wanted to have her on and chat about her book and chat about the past and the current state of affairs. And thanks for coming on the show, Tessa. Appreciate you coming on and spending time with us.
Oh, glad to be here.
It was a very strange, somewhat synchronistic circumstance. I was on a long drive going to see my girlfriend. I was listening to John Keel's writings on an audiobook, Flying Saucers to the Center of Your Mind. And I was listening to the introduction. I was thinking, man, this is really interesting, whoever wrote this introduction. And I went back and restarted it, and I realized it was you. And I was like, we should have Tess on the podcast. Because your experience seemed very interesting, back in the 60s and 70s. And then, sure enough, I found out from our friend, a shout out to Occulture, Ryan at Occulture Podcast, that he was also in contact with you. So I was like, hey, Ryan, pass me over Tessa's email so we can have her on. And thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, I'm getting passed around quite a bit now. It's kind of dizzying. But I was asked to write the introduction by I guess friend, at least more than acquaintance, but, we lived miles and miles apart. And so I had to read it, of course. And I didn't have a copy, so he sent me one of the Flying Saucers, and I had no idea who John Keel was till I got that book, and now I have a few more, thanks to generous friends who share their books.
Now,
Keel is a very interesting author, a journalist, not just a storyteller. I'm afraid I'm more of a storyteller.
Yeah.
The documentary evidence on Phil is scant, really, and often mistaken. I've noticed all kinds of errors. But, of course, I'm not allowed to correct them because I'm just an ex-wife, Like I wasn't there when that happened? Excuse me.
Yeah, exactly. So is that one of the reasons why you wanted to write your own book about it? I mean, you've written a couple things on about Phil, right?
Yes. My first memoir I wrote actually in the late 1980s, and I have enough rejection letters to paper a wall. They're all very nice. They like the book, but they don't think they can sell it. So when self-publishing came along, I published, I think close to 10 years ago now, my first memoir, Philip K. Dick, Remembering Firebright.
Mm-hmm.
And people kept asking for more, so I'm kind of slow and have other things to do, but I finally got the Conversations book finished and self-published that.
Good for you. That's I think it's important to get this other side of Phil out and your life with him, and especially I feel like Keel and Philip and Terrence McKenna and all these people that are sort of becoming cultural icons from the 60s and 70s. I feel like there's a bunch of people growing in popularity. And I was wondering, you being sort of running in some of those circles back then, did you ever think that would happen back then? Like, did you realize that you were, friends with some of these people?
Well, we didn't run in a lot of circles because Phil suffered from agoraphobia, and sometimes he couldn't even go out the front door, let alone go to a convention or even visit friends a couple blocks away. But I did meet a few people, most notably, I think, Robert Heinlein.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Nebula Award ceremony, and Phil had been nominated, but he couldn't go. And everybody thought he was faking it when he said he had the flu. But actually, he was misdiagnosed. He had a hereditary gallbladder problem that, by the way, all three of his children suffer from as well.
Oh, is that the one where he thought he was poisoned by the mushrooms, and that he actually ended up?
Well, at that point he had gallstones, but he also thought that the one time he bought some speed from his brother-in-law, he thought it was laced with some kind of poison because he got pancreatitis, and he didn't drink. He'd enjoy a glass of wine or a shot of scotch occasionally, but he was not much of a drinker. Anyway, it turns out that every one of his three children has also had pancreatitis, and only one of them drinks a lot. The other two are straight as an arrow, and I'm not saying which one.
They're probably not listening anyways.
Yeah, but it's not cool to talk about Phil's children that way.
Yeah, of course. So what was that like? What was that like going to the Nebula Awards on Phil's behalf?
Well, I didn't know who those people were. I barely knew who Heinlein was. I didn't read science fiction. But Ray Bradbury was accepting on behalf of Arthur C. Clarke because Clarke couldn't leave Sri Lanka because he was waiting for citizenship. And Bradbury read one of his poems that he had written about Moby Dick and Shakespeare. And he said in his introduction that he knew his poetry was bad, but he had a captive audience, so he read the whole long poem, and it was bad. But he was such a delightful person. I wish I'd actually known him. Apparently, he said some very nice things about me, even though we'd never met. Anyway, Phil had been dreading going there anyway because he was afraid that Robert Heinlein might be angry with him for helping to spread a rumor that Heinlein lived in a house surrounded by an electric fence. Oh, Heinlein, it turned out, had a big box of Phil's books, and he wanted Phil to sign them for him. He was a fan.
Huh.
And I visited him really only once at his home. He did live behind a wall with an electric fence and a gate with a little box where you call in to ask him to open it. So that rumor was true. Apparently, both Heinlein and his wife had worked for naval intelligence, so they were very conscious of the need for security. He wasn't paranoid, he just really needed security.
Was Phil paranoid at all? I mean, he was having some break-ins and stuff like that, or you guys were when in his house, right? So part of it was hard. Part of it was like to me, it felt like there was something going on, and there was people. I don't know if they were spying or whatever, because some of the mysteries were never really solved. But then apparently, you did find some people breaking in, right?
Yes, most of that was before I met him. The big hit on his house, for example, was in 1971, and I met him in 1972.
Yeah.
But we did have just a college girl who actually used to live in our apartment, had kept her key, and she used to just sneak in and sit around reading our books and magazines. And when she saw us coming or heard us on the stairs, she would go out the window. But that was relatively harmless. But what happened to him before I met him, some kind of organized harassment was going on.
Right.
And I don't think we'll ever know who did it, but and people who have looked through the FBI files about Phil are disappointed because they only contain Phil's letters to them.
Oh, wow. So maybe it was the CIA, like Phil used to have some appreciation for the FBI, I believe, right?
He respected them and didn't like the CIA because it was pretty much founded by Nazis. It really was. They were not part of Paperclip, but Reinhard Gehlen organized our spies on the Soviet Union and then organized the spies for the Soviet Union to spy on us. Anyway, there was a CIA file on Phil, and I don't think anyone other than Phil has ever seen it. He read it and destroyed it. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but they were actually writing down the license plates of any car that stopped at Phil's house.
Wow.
Up in San Rafael, and doing background checks. They must have thought he was up to something.
What do you think that was? Like, why would they do that? I mean, Phil was obviously becoming a prominent writer and sci-fi and all that good stuff, and he was sort of, writing about the government in some ways, but why do you think they were showing that much interest?
Well, actually, that's what puzzled Phil and everyone else. He was not prominent at the time. In 1971, he was well known in France, and that was about it. But he had signed a petition in Ramparts magazine promising not to pay his income taxes until we got out of Vietnam. And, everyone on that list was probably a target. The funny thing is that when the IRS finally caught up with Phil, his income had been so little that he did not owe any taxes anyway. That's how obscure he was. Imagine being, let's see, 40, close, 38 years old and asking your mother for money. He was in that position more than once.
So did you have any notion that he would become who he would, and so many, movies would be made out of his writings and that kind of stuff? Did you have any sense of that?
I didn't have a clue. I knew that he deserved it, but we rarely get what we deserve, And he didn't live long enough to really enjoy the fame or the money that came with Blade Runner.
Right.
He was able to get a new car.
Didn't they just remake Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one in 1982. He was able to get a new car and pay off the mortgage on his condominium apartment. But he really wasn't wealthy. He was just finally financially secure.
Yeah.
And he did turn down millions of dollars when they wanted him to suppress his original novel so they could write a novelization of the movie. And he refused and had his own book reissued. And it wasn't called Blade Runner. It was Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And that was, I think it was published in 1968, but it was really inspired by his life in the years before and after 1960, when he was married to Anne and lived on her farm up in Marin County.
Mm-hmm.
Anne had sheep, and Phil loved the sheep, but, when they had lambs, the farm couldn't support the lambs, so they had to be slaughtered, and Phil had to help with that, and he just couldn't handle having to kill the lambs, so he made sure that the sheep never got to breed again so they wouldn't have babies.
Huh.
He really loved animals and didn't like that part of farming. And for a while, during our marriage, he decided to be a vegetarian. But it wasn't too long before he decided it was okay to eat fish. And then chicken was okay. But finally, he got to where he would eat a hamburger or something like that once in a while, but not often because, you have to kill an animal to make meat. I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with that too. I went through a fish only phase.
Pescatarian?
Yeah, pescatarian.
Pescatarian? I think Presbyterians are religious.
By the way, he never gave up eggs. They don't count unless they're fertilized. But yeah, I like fish. Phil didn't really care for fish, but I love a good fish.
What's your favorite?
Oh, it's got to be halibut. Problem is, I'm not getting halibut because their population has been so overfished that it really wouldn't be right. So once in a while I get tilapia and make sure it really is tilapia and not something mislabeled.
I like bassa.
I used to love sea bass. I still like cod, but the tilapia and halibut are not as fishy, and their texture is really nice.
Yeah, I find a ton of ocean fish is fishy. I I find lake fish isn't so bad.
I've been eating salmon because of the DHA levels.
I had some salmon today, actually. Yeah. But I don't love it, you know?
Yeah.
I love shrimp and crab and shit.
I don't like lake fish. I, one time, because Phil thought I was such a terrible cook, well, in many ways I still am. He got me a copy of The Joy of Cooking, and I studied it, and I managed to pull off a meal centered on trout in aspic. Phil loved it, but that's when I discovered that I don't like trout.
Was this in the phase where Phil was writing, like basically, writing nonstop, sleeping for a couple hours at a time, just waking up when he was inspired, that kind of thing when he was on that, and you were just helping him out with, putting food in front of him to keep the guy going?
No, this was later when our son was very young, an infant, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, I had no idea that I didn't like trout until I made that. Oh, it was magnificent and beautiful and had watercress and all kinds of side dishes. But when I was a child, with the extended family, we used to fish for trout. And I always caught just one because even though I was a little girl, I was required to kill it myself, clean it myself, cook it myself, and eat it myself. And we'd cook them on a little wood fire right by the side of the lake. And I thought I liked the trout, but I don't. It was the whole experience.
Once you started eating other fish, you were like, that trout sucks.
Pretty much. I like the sea fish because they're salty. And lake fish are not. They're different. For example, the pink salmon and the red salmon are different. In general, the red ones are caught in the river where they're going to spawn, and the pink ones are usually from the ocean. So I'm lucky because red ones cost more, and I like the pink ones. Well, anyway.
So what about some of your experiences with Phil, like I guess, I don't know if you would call them unexplained or paranormal or anything like that, or the fire bright? Can you talk about some of that at all? We do, we talk about a lot of that stuff on the show where listeners email in their experiences, and we talk, openly about that kind of stuff. Can you mention some of that? Some of your personal experiences with Phil and those phenomena?
Sure. It has been 40 years or more. Let me think. 74 to 17. 6 and 20, 33, 43 years. I'm not that old. I still think I'm 26 until I try to, lift a box or reach a high shelf. Anyway, he started having serious problems with his teeth, and finally the pain got so bad that he went to the dentist, and the dentist told him he had to go to an oral surgeon and get an infected molar yanked out. Bill called it a wisdom tooth, but it wasn't. It was just a molar that had broken. He'd ground his teeth so badly that it broke because he was in pain and more afraid of the dentist than he was of the pain. And he was a chicken about the dentist, so he had the oral surgeon knock him out for the surgery to remove that tooth. And 74, I think I didn't have my license yet. That must be why we took a cab. I remember riding in a cab. I got my first driver's license when our son was almost a year old. Long story. Anyway, since we were taking a cab home, we just had the oral surgeon call in his prescriptions to the pharmacy that delivered to our house, apartment. Anyway, so we went home and Phil lay down, and he was still groggy from being knocked out for the surgery. But when the lady from the pharmacy came with his medication, even though I was up on my feet in the kitchen, he got out of bed and ran to the front door before I could get to it and got his antibiotics and painkillers. And the way he told it, he saw the lady's necklace, and it was a gold fish sign, and it zapped him with a pink light. Well, not exactly. He was trying to look down her blouse, and when he realized what he was doing, he asked her about her necklace as an excuse. He was groggy, but I'm not sure that's the reason he was looking. Anyway, he knew perfectly well what the fish sign was because we had one. We had bought a bumper sticker at the local Bible bookstore, and it was black and silver, and it had the fish sign, which Phil explained to me was an early Christian symbol, and that the cross was actually originally an insult and not a Christian symbol. But he knew what it was before he saw that necklace. The thing is, we didn't put the sticker on the car. We taped it up in the living room window on the west side where it faced the setting sun. So when he turned, I handed the girl the check and closed the door. Phil turned around to go to the bathroom and get a glass of water to take his pills. And the sun reflected off that window sticker briefly blinded him so that when he looked away, he kept seeing the after image, a pink rectangle with the fish sign in it. Then he went and took 2 of the pain pills, and he was supposed to take only 1. He went and lay down and started having visions.
Oh, but nice. Was it an opiate?
It was Percodan, which was an early form of Vicodin. The way Phil described it was that he was still in pain, but he didn't care, which sounds a lot like opium. Yeah, but it was not the first time in his life that he had visions. It was just really filled with much more content than ever before. He actually heard the radio talking to him. And I heard the radio, but it was popular music. We had to quit sleeping with the bedside radio on, which had become, our regular routine. But he heard in the songs, You're No Good by Linda Ronstadt and You're So Vain by Carly Simon. He heard them talking specifically to him and telling him that he was no good. I just heard the music, but the thing is, the radio was unplugged. It should not have been able to play anything. It did not have batteries. It was strictly plug into the wall.
Weird.
And it kept playing. Yeah, well, I think there was some source of microwave radiation nearby that was affecting our electrical appliances, specifically the radio. That can happen. For example, your smart meter can screw up your cell phone, not to mention interfering with your sleep. People who are particularly sensitive to electromagnetic radiation have real problems with these new smart meters. But, if you can pick up a radio station in your dental work, which does happen, obviously doesn't take a whole lot of power to make a radio play the station that it's tuned to.
So
I think that is what happened.
So did he have any inspiration or anything from these visions at all?
Oh, his whole exegesis, which runs something like 10,000 pages in manuscript.
Wow.
He was constantly exploring not only his visions, but also any ancient writing he could get his hands on, especially the Bible. He really diligently studied the writings of Paul, which is most of the New Testament. He also read philosophers and church fathers, which is, not exactly ancient, but a long time ago. And he read both philosophy and psychology from both the 1800s and the 1900s. He didn't live into the 2000s, or he would have read that too. And of course, we were really interested in the paranormal, so and there was no internet, but we'd watch In Search Of, which was Leonard Nimoy's show exploring strange events like, why am I blank? Oh, the Philadelphia experiment, the Loch Ness Monster, ESP. Unfortunately, it really didn't have a whole lot of content. It was more
fluff,
attention grabbing, but not substantial. And the conclusions were always inconclusive. But we don't know if there's a Loch Ness Monster, but some people think there is. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I always liked Unsolved Mysteries. But I wasn't even born until the 80s, so.
Well, Unsolved Mysteries is cool, too. I miss some of the old shows, like, what was it on cable?
Sightings? Remember that one?
Yeah, Sightings and think the other one was called Unknown or something like that.
Unsolved Mysteries, maybe? No? Is that what you said there? Oh, sorry.
Oh, could be. I have some of them on videotape. I taped them on my VCR, which still works, by the way.
Hope it doesn't break.
It's still working.
It's like the last one.
So what about...
I have one that I use and a spare in case it breaks down.
Perfect.
But the one that I use is actually professional grade.
So what about...
How long were you guys married?
Well, we married in 73 and divorced in 77. But, we had lived together for a year before we got married.
Mm-hmm.
So I said 5 years because living together kind of counts.
Yeah, definitely
So I knew him for 10. Yeah, I knew him for 10 years. And we got along better after he didn't think he owned me.
Were you with him when the Firebright thing happened, or with that?
Yeah, that's how it started. Was with that toothache.
Oh, that was that. Okay.
Oral surgery. Yeah.
I thought there was something about the blue light, or was that what?
About the what?
The blue light. Or that's what you were talking about with the thing in the window and all that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was sometime after that he encountered the blue light dancing around in the air like a butterfly. But that was the beginning. It was late February in 1974 when he had the tooth extracted, and then more than a week later, the 3/2/74 incident happened, and that has caused confusion because in Europe, 3/2 would be February 3, but it was actually the second day of March. In England and Europe, they note the date backwards, and they say that we do it backwards.
We're in Canada, so we agree with them.
Okay. So we finally settled on just saying February and March of 74, since the original pink light happened in February. But on the second day of March, he got what he called the Xerox letter. He had been anxious ever since the first pink light experience, getting more and more paranoid, if you will, anxious, upset, frightened. And on the day that this Xerox letter came, he saw the mailman, at the apartments. We were upstairs, and downstairs in the courtyard there was a box with little boxes for individual apartments to receive mail. And Phil ran down there as soon as it was delivered and came upstairs with the mail, which was amazing because quite often his agoraphobia was so bad that he could not go downstairs to get the mail. And he selected one envelope, handed it to me, and said, "Don't let me see it, just tell me what's in it." Eventually he did read it, even though he told me he wouldn't.
What is
Typical.
That?
Well, it was a Xerox copy of a book review. And I'm really not positive about what newspaper it had been published in, but it might have been World Net Daily. In any case, the book was about how terrible the United States is. Had all kinds of words underlined like deteriorate and rot and words to do with dying and rotting. It didn't have a return address, but it had a postmark in Austria. And my best guess is that it actually came from a rather well-known publisher, Franz Rothensteiner, who lived or lives, I think he's still living, in Austria. I can check that. I still have internet. Anyway, there was no note, no explanation, no return address, and just this Xerox copy of a book review. And I don't remember the title of the book. Oh, Franz Rothensteiner is still alive, age 75, and still in Austria. Anyway, it was a bit of a mystery, and Phil thought it was full of subliminal messages. I didn't think they were all that subliminal. But he sent off the Xerox letter to the FBI. So that was the beginning of a long correspondence with the FBI. But what he did, he wrote really crazy letters accusing people he knew of being communist infiltrators, and then threw those letters in the dumpster, the trash. And he said, well, if they're watching me, they'll get the letters, and if they aren't watching me, no harm done. But he kept carbon copies of all those letters, and they have turned up. And, you know, some of the people he denounced are quite outraged. But Phil was just trying to convince the authorities that he was insane, so they didn't need to bother him anymore.
Well, it's interesting how his style of writing was like paranoid fiction and science fiction and all this almost dystopian type stuff, where you wonder if, you know, like that seems to be like a parallel to really how he thought or lived his life in a way. Like, was there, and you know, there's a lot of people that would say he's right in doing so. Like, there is a lot of things to be paranoid about if you look at the world that way. Do you think he was, you know what I mean? Does it make sense that he was, that his writing style came out like that?
Well, from Phil's point of view, what he was writing was not so much fiction as realism.
Yeah.
And look at the world today.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was paranoid about surveillance and fascism taking over our country, and guess what? He pretty much predicted the Patriot Act and warrantless searches.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, he was justified in a lot of ways he's almost, you know, a forward thinker about that. A lot of these science fiction authors have an amazing grasp at the future. Right.
And it's even possible for an American citizen to be secretly arrested and imprisoned or possibly even executed without a trial and with no one ever knowing what happened.
Yeah. Have you been interested in this stuff all along, Tessa, from back then to now? Like, you're interested in, you know, strange things, the paranormal, or this type of surveillance type stuff?
Yeah. You kind of would have had to be there when I was growing up. My parents got into radical right-wing politics, and they kind of discovered that they were in pretty much agreement with the radical left-wing. There wasn't much difference. Different flag, but same code of honor. But, they were in the Birch Society, and they knew Minutemen, but they also knew Weathermen and Black Panthers. And that kind of shocked me because Mom was so racist. Dad wasn't, but Mom was. Oh, well, whatever.
Those were the days, I suppose, that kind of stuff was pretty commonplace.
Yeah, and Mom, although she was insane and alcoholic, but she took it for granted that not only were psychic powers real, but that all her children had them, because she was sure that she had psychic powers, which explains how many times we were punished for things that she imagined we had done. I think the real problem was that she had a hangover.
So what do you think about the state of the world now, as far as people, like we're talking on the internet right now? Phil was writing about a lot of this stuff back then, and you were alongside of him, even helping him write some stuff. And then nowadays we're talking about all this stuff openly. There's more acceptance. Do you think there's more acceptance? Do you think more people are switched on to something more than our physical reality right now?
It could be. I think as more and more manifests in what we know as the real world, more and more people are willing to at least consider not only the paranormal, but also the fascism that's taken over Western civilization in general.
Now, do you mean that as far as the old definition of fascism?
Well,
and not the new,
basically
altered definition?
It's a partnership between government and corporations.
That's what I thought, yeah.
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 Many people don't understand that.
Luckily, Antifa is here to save the day.
Yeah, well, it explains a lot, like why Monsanto can poison us and Nestle can steal our groundwater and sell it back to us in bottles.
Vaccines, it's just a mess.
Where I live, for example, they pump out millions of gallons of water every year, and they pay our county government $700 a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
good profit margin on that.
When the activists learned that Nestle's lease had actually expired 20 years ago, well, the county fixed that. They renewed the lease. Gee, thanks. We've been in a drought for a decade, and all that water is, it's even worse than just taking it and selling it back to us. They remove all the minerals from it before they bottle it. You might as well drink tap water, because tap water tastes better and is better for you. Well, anyway,
minus the fluoride in most places.
Well, where I live, they don't add fluoride to our water. That costs money.
Yeah, we don't have it here either. But there are some people fighting to get it back in, which is crazy to me.
Oh no, there's plenty of places fighting to get the fluoride out.
Exactly.
It's horrible. Now, we do have some natural fluoride from, underground rocks, but it's listed in our annual report as a contaminant. And it's a very small amount, and it isn't the same fluoride that they add. The fluoride that they add to our water is industrial waste. There's two primary.
Yeah.
There's two primary sources. One, of course, is aluminum refining. The other is nuclear waste from nuclear power plants. Just what I wanted, wrong? Radioactive fluorine in my water. Gee, thanks. You get the feeling that they really are trying to kill us all.
Exactly.
You know, the politicians and the corporate executives don't eat the crap that they feed us. They have all natural, organic, blah, blah, blah. And they die before they drink tap water.
Well, I know Singapore has like the biggest concentration of billionaires in the world, and they also have the lowest infant mortality rate in the world. Like 2 kids per 1,000 or something like that day. U.S. is like 34.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that figures. So I guess Granny was right. She refused to have children in the hospital, and she had both of her children at home.
So, Tessa, do you think...
Sure.
Sorry, do you think there's an overarching agenda here like that? I mean, especially after, you know, being married to somebody like Phil, like, do you think there's an overarching agenda, or is this just the way big institutions end up going? You know, the money ends up influencing people, the greed gets involved, or do you think there's a more of a nefarious agenda? Well,
I believe in conspiracies on Tuesday, but this is Wednesday. Sometimes I think it's a plan, and other times I think they're just stupid.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, what kind of business goes about killing their customers?
Yeah.
And getting back to fascism being a partnership between government and corporations, yeah, they're out for profit, all right. And they really do consider us to be inferior genetically and otherwise. Because if we weren't inferior, we'd be more like them, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's worse, them knowing or not knowing. You know, both scenarios are pretty scary, really.
Oh, well, I'm not exactly a fan of Donald Trump, but I do like the fact that he's introduced some chaos into the system.
Exactly. Yeah. Sort of shining the bright light on what was really going on, you know, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and whether he knows it or not, he's actually opening doors for people to make changes.
Yeah.
I don't hold out much hope if we don't make changes.
I just don't hold out much hope.
Yeah.
You know, Phil, once had decided to immigrate to Canada and apply for citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
That was also before I met him. I think it was like December of 71 or January of 72.
Mm-hmm.
But he was abducted by men in black. That isn't what he called them. We didn't know anything about men in black, but he thought they must have been some kind of government agents because they were wearing black suits. Anyway.
And like you said, this was before his prominence, right? So that's very, telling about why he would become so into this paranoid fiction. I mean, if he's had these experiences before he was even famous for writing dystopian type stuff, I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah, well, as the way Phil explained it was, you don't have to be important. you only have to come to their attention.
Yeah.
You know, as many people say, if the cops know you, you must have done something wrong.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I've run into that where I knew a deputy because my son had taught him martial arts. And all the other deputies assumed he must have arrested me at some point because I knew him. It took a long time to work that out and disabuse them of that misconception. Actually, I've never been arrested. The worst I had was a speeding ticket in 1980. And I was speeding. I was going about 95, and the nice little officer wrote me up for 75, so I just mailed in my check and counted my blessings.
Exactly.
Well, if he'd written 95, he would have had to arrest me and impound my car.
So, Tessa, is there anything else you want to mention about your book? Yeah, Darren's had a couple cars impounded. He's had a bad traffic record, eh, Darren?
It's better now.
Yeah, well, when I'm going through Kern County, that's just the top of Southern California, around Bakersfield, I set the cruise control for a couple miles under the speed limit, and I watch, and every car that passes me gets pulled over. They're really, really on top of speeders in that part of our state.
Well, that's good to know because we have a ton of listeners in California, so heads up, guys.
Yeah, don't speed on I-5 going through Kern County.
So just don't. We got about 5 minutes left here. What would you say if you had to pick one as your most memorable conversation with Philip?
I suppose that would have to be when he finally explained why he left me and then told everyone else that I left him. I don't know why they believed him. He was the one who had a new apartment, some new furniture, plus all of the things he had the moving van take from our home. And it was like the end of his novel, Radio Free Albemus. He was sure that his enemies were going to get him, and he wanted to protect me and our son from his enemies by making them think that he didn't care about us. It might have been crazy, but his enemies never got us, which doesn't prove a thing, because we don't know that he had enemies at that point in his life.
Yeah.
It's like, I do a certain ritual and no purple dragons come down from the sky. Does that prove that it works, or?
That's what happens if you eat stems instead of caps.
Uh-oh. Well, I always think of the old fun song, Flying Purple People Eater. Everyone's afraid of the flying purple people eater.
Yeah, I
but
remember
it turns out he only eats purple people.
Right on, Tessa. Well, thanks for coming on and talking about your book.
Well, this has been fun, and I wish we had a little more time, but I understand you have other things to do.
Yeah, sorry about that. We were running a little late earlier. We're kind of trying to cram too many things into the studio here.
Well, life happens. If it didn't, that wouldn't be acceptable.
Well, I really encourage people to buy this book and support you and your work, Tessa. And, I wanted to get you on and talk about it. And, it's interesting, some of the experiences you've had. So really appreciate your time with that. Is there something that, do you have a website there that I can link to or something like that for people to buy this? How would you like people to buy this?
Oh, Amazon is the best place. It is available elsewhere, but as I said, Amazon's the best, and you can find all my other books listed on Amazon. And my website is my name, TessaDick.com.
Okay. I'll put that in the show notes.
Okay.
Are you going to be...
Remember,
go ahead.
Your purchase of a book will help a starving writer.
Exactly.
Hopefully a bunch of our listeners will buy the book, too.
I know we have some people interested in Phil and your stuff, so it'll be good.
We'll have you back on again.
Thank you.
Down the road, and we'll do this when we got a little more time.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Tessa, thanks.
Anything? Well, thank you.
Thanks. We'll be in touch, and we'll send you a link when it comes out as well. And, let us know if you're going to any conferences or doing anything like that, if people want to meet up with you.
The only one I know of is next March.
Okay.
The 1st and 2nd of March in Fort Morgan, Colorado, where Phil and his sister Jane are buried.
Yeah.
I went last March, and they've invited me to return.
Nice. What is that? What conference is that?
It's the Philip K. Dick Festival.
Oh, okay, good.
I don't know if they have anything out on the net just yet.
I'll look for it, and I'll put it in the show notes if it's there.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Tessa.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
That was a little premature.
Sorry. I was hovering.
I know. Sometimes there's a delay.
I don't like long goodbyes.
I know, either do I. That's why at work we're just like, bye-bye,
yeah.
bye,
see you guys.
Bye.
You don't have to hug.
Yeah.
That was a great one, though.
Yeah, that was fun.
I like your gusto.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wanted to get more of her experience around some of Phil's friends and all, but the more I learned about it, the more he was just like a hermit writing away. I
can't believe the list of books or the movies and books you were listing off earlier.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, he's had a real impact on our
culture,
sci-fi culture, right? He really has. His writings are very, very interesting.
And you're a sci-fi fanatic?
No, I'm not a fanatic. I just like it. I like fantasy and sci-fi, yeah, a little bit.
I've known you for 5 years, and I've never seen you so excited. 6 years. I've never seen you so excited as you were with your Dungeons and Dragons book the other day.
That's fantasy. This is sci-fi. It's different. Are you serious? You haven't seen me that excited?
I've never seen you so as excited as you were. Maybe the first Paradigm Symposium, but I don't think so. You're pretty excited with that Dungeons and Dragons book. Now we need a Dungeons and Dragons jingle.
That's true. We do.
Absolutely.
So, I appreciate Tessa coming on and doing that, and I wanted to. She ended up even having to help him write some stuff as well, right? Which is really we didn't get into that, but maybe next time we can talk about it. But he actually
stupid hockey playoffs.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll do it again. That was a fun chat.
Yeah.
She's a fun one. We should get her and Judith Mary Baker on at the same time.
There you go.
Like these old gals just tell straight.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. Yeah, no reservations.
The fascism and the Patriot Act and all that. Yeah, it's like they don't care anymore what people think. It's like, yeah. Right on.
That's a big thanks to Tessa for coming on the show. Maybe we'll go down to that
festival. Yeah. I didn't think she was going to that. That's why I asked about that. But I think it might have been her first one last year. So I'm glad she's going back.
Let's do more traveling.
Yeah.
Big thanks, Tess, for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Check out grimerica.ca/support, guys. It's a bunch of different ways there. You can keep helping us keep chugging along here over at Grimerica, especially with winter rolling in hard and fast. They're saying it's cold in the sun. The high is -10 next weekend now. -10 and snowing. Just going to freeze fucking solid.
Yeah, it's brutal, eh?
Grimerica.ca/support. If you can't afford to support us monetarily, guys, there's a bunch of different
things in the show notes.
A bunch of stuff in the show notes. Check out the show notes. Everything's there. Support the show. Share the show. Rate the show. Review the show. Tell your friends about the show.
Send your stories in.
Send in spamgram. Send some crap to the P.O. box. I think that's about it.
Right on. Thanks, buddy.
Very good. All right. Good luck in hockey, man.
Thanks.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Season's greetings from the Grimerica Show podcast. Gather around the fireplace. Help yourself to some hot cocoa with a little marshmallows in it. Maybe have a candy cane or two, and maybe some cookies. It's so warm and jolly. Cry Merry Christmas. Podcasting from the igloo. Darren plays jingle bells on the didgeridoo. And over there, that's Graham crying tears of joy as he listens in on the little drummer boy. Pa-rum-pa-pum-pum. I see you've acquainted yourself with D-Ron. Yeah, it's true, he pops Christmas trees of medicinal. Wait a second, is that? Yeah, I think that's Sasquatch beneath the mistletoe.
Get over here, Graham. Thank you for saving me and give me a kiss.
And it looks like Napoleon Doom is decorating the room with tinsels, ribbon, popcorn on strings, and poinsettias. They are in bloom. And you might ask, who's that in the green and red Lucha Libre mask? Why, of course, that's RPJ. Feliz Navidad. It's so warm and jolly. Cry Merry Christmas. Podcasting from the igloo. Darren plays jingle bells on the didgeridoo. And over there, that's Graham crying tears of joy as he listens in on the little drummer boy. You'll get a warm and fuzzy feeling if you donate to the Grimerica Show. So get in the spare, reach down in your pocket and make it rain. Let it snow, make it snow, let it snow, let it snow, make it snow. Donate to the show. Donate to the show. Donate to the show. It's so warm and jolly. Cry Merry Christmas. Podcasting from the igloo. Darren plays jingle bells on the didgeridoo. And over there, that's Graham crying tears of joy as he listens in on the little drummer boy.
suspense.